This bathroom is already a nightmare though. Very easy to switch out. Well, it's supposed to be. That fresh cut wood smell just never gets old. So while this is a no demo bathroom makeover, I'm working with what I got, and I really hope that we're not going to recognize this space when I'm finished with it. So you may or may not remember when I said that my kitchen was one of the last areas in my home to be worked on. And that is because the actual last space is here in my bathroom. My name is Rachel and welcome back to the Sorry Girls channel. I'm bringing you budget-friendly and easy to tackle DIY projects. Honestly, I was never really quite sure how much I wanted to do in here, but you saw the title of this video, so look at us now. Let me show you what we're working with in here. Listen, it does the job. It's definitely a bit tight in here, a little outdated. There's not a lot of cohesion going on, but the shower has 4 different types of tile going on. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's also on top of other tile at one point, so don't get it in here. Now, while I can't change the tile, I do want to try and distract from this shower area, and what I can change is this light fixture that is completely off center, so I'm gonna have to figure out a way to work with that. And I definitely need some more storage in here because right now all we have is this under the sink cabinet, and it is simply not enough. So this is my mood board for the space. I definitely want to bring in some earth tones using wood and greens. I'm thinking some sort of partition could be unique. Right now we are definitely far from my mood board, but stay tuned because I'm definitely gonna try. Now I do rent, so I'm not really in a place to be replacing anything that's already built in, but I do have permission from my landlord to make some not so renter friendly decisions in here in the name of improving the space, which I feel like some people's landlords are okay with. Thankfully mine is, and my landlord also purchased some new shower and sink fixtures, so that's really gonna help to modernize those elements. So while this is a no demo bathroom makeover, I'm working with what I got, and I really hope that we're not gonna recognize this space when I'm finished with it. Now that's enough talking, time to remove some caulking. I may have planned that just a little bit. Now, I know a renter is not normally responsible for something like redoing caulking, but ours is cracked, it's a little moldy. At this point, it just needs to be replaced, and I'm gonna show you how. Okay, so I've never actually redone caulking myself, but I have consulted the internet, and I have found that the best way to start is by going in with a utility knife, and we're gonna loosen up both edges. This sink is gonna be super easy to do because it's pretty much peeled itself, but I'll show you again in the shower area. I do have extra wall paint, so we can touch this up later. So scary in there. Who knows what's on these layers and layers of tile? Who knows? Not me, babe. Not me. It's gross in there. Once the edges have been released, I'm just peeling away as much of the caulking as I can before going in with this plastic spatula. Now I've chosen to use a plastic spatula here because they do actually have a pretty sharp edge, and I don't want to risk scratching any of the surfaces. If you do end up having a hard time removing with the plastic scraper, just go in with anything that is a bit more abrasive. Okay, I have removed majority, if not all, of the caulking, and I definitely have a bit of a mess to clean up. I'm just gonna go over any super stubborn areas with an abrasive brush. I'm just using vinegar as my cleaning solution, as well as if you have any super stubborn areas, you can go in with some 100% alcohol and just scrub those out. Before we go in with the new caulking, you want to make sure you just give everything a really good clean, and you need to let that dry for like, I don't know, maybe an hour or two. But now we're ready to re-caulk, and I'm using this. Okay, to set up your tube, here I have a caulking gun, and if you can see here, it has a little blade inside of it. So you're gonna remove the cap and then insert the nozzle on an angle and trigger the handle 1 time. Very nice, you got a hole now. I think most standard caulking guns have this feature, but if it doesn't, just cut the tip off on an angle with your utility knife. Now take this little pokey bit and you want to shove it into the end to break the seal on the inside. And now you're ready to insert it in your gun. Oh, okay, well, that got it started. Rips. Starting with the sink, I'm first placing a small bead of caulk on the edge that I want to seal. You don't need too much here. Next, with my finger, I'm just pressing ever so slightly to smooth out that gap. Every couple of inches, I wipe the excess off my finger on a rag, and cleaning your finger often is very important or it can get messy looking. And then I'm just gonna continue that until it's all smooth. And if you do get any buildup on the edges, this is very easy to clean up with your finger again. Now onto the shower, I'm doing the same thing along the walls. And then for where the bath meets the wall, I had some pretty big gaps. You probably won't have this issue, but to compensate for this, I'm adding an excess amount of caulking to the corner. And then with this small spatula tool that has this rounded edge, I'm pressing the flat edges into the wall and the bath and running it across. This time I'm wiping less often so that the buildup can even itself out. And honestly, for my first time, I think I did a pretty good job. This is actually very easy to do, and it's a small change, but it just looks so much cleaner in here. Okay, so gotta let this caulking dry, and next I wanna start working on this partition that I wanna DIY. I'm thinking it's gonna go next to the sink, so now I'm gonna head to the office to go work on that. But first, I'm gonna stop at Home Depot to grab some wood, and before all of that, I'm going to change my clothes because they have shower all over them. Okay, so here I am at the office, ready to build the frame for my partition / divider. At Home Depot, I picked up two 1x2 by 8 foot pieces of pine, as well as one piece that is 6 feet. I'm using the miter saw to cut the wood, and the vertical measurements I'm using are pretty specific to my bathroom, but I just had to trim a bit off the two 8 foot pieces so that they would fit. But the idea is I will connect these with more shorter pieces throughout the center. I'm measuring those middle pieces to 11.5 inches, and now we have 5 beautifully even pieces. And I just clamped those together to sand any rough edges. Next, I'm just using some clamps and my square tool to help hold these together and make sure everything is straight while I space out those middle pieces. Then, with a countersink bit in my drill, I pre-drilled one hole on either side for the screws that will hold these pieces in place. I left a 23-inch space between each piece because later I'll be adding some perforated aluminum sheets in these areas. Then I went in with some wood glue before adding these 2.5-inch screws to my countersunk pilot holes. To clean up the holes, I'm just going in with some wood filler. And then for the bottom space, I decided to fill it with a scrap piece of 3/4 inch plywood that we had. I just cut this down using the circular saw. It smells so good. That fresh cut wood smell just never gets old. This bottom part will be hidden behind the sink cabinet, so I didn't want to bother going in with a 4th piece of aluminum down here, but I attached it the same way we did the middle pieces and filled in the edge with some more wood filler to clean it up. Once the wood filler was all dry, I gave this whole thing a good sanding with some 220 grit sandpaper on my mouse sander. Now that most of the messy steps have been finished, let's take this back to my apartment and finish it up. First, I went in with this wood stain in the color Provincial and applied that using a scrap piece of fabric. After that had time to dry for at least 24 hours, I then went in with this Varathane Clear Finish Satin Top Coat. Once that was dry, I then hand sanded the top coat before going in with another layer of the clear finish. Sand that again, and then go in with one final layer of the clear finish to really seal the wood. So 3 coats in total of the Varathane Clear Finish, because we really want to make sure this wood is nice and sealed. Next, I use these cloverleaf pattern aluminum sheets that I found on Amazon. Each sheet is 1 feet by 2 feet, and I bought 3 in total. They each cost about $40, which is definitely a bit more than I would have liked to have spent on these, but honestly, they're so worth it. I think they look really good. These are also coated in what is called an albrass finish, which lends itself to be safe for outdoor use. So the aluminum combined with the albrass finish will remain stable in a wet environment, and I don't have to worry about the metal corroding over time. To attach these sheets, I lined them up on the back side and carefully along the edge secured those using the brad nailer with some 1/2-inch nails. Okay, really happy with how this divider's looking. Let's tackle installing it tomorrow. Good morning. I have some updates since we last spoken. The sink fixture has gotten switched out. Definitely a bit more of a pricey investment, but totally worth it if you can do it, and very easy to switch out. Well, it's supposed to be, because you remember how I said there's like 5 different tiles going on in the bathroom area? Well, when they were going to change the plate behind the handle, all of it started crumbling and withering away, all layers of it. So this is what we're currently dealing with, and that is what it is. So this simple change has definitely turned into a much larger issue. Basically, it just needs some new waterproofing, new backing, and some new tile. So maybe we're adding a 6th tile to this area. Who knows what it's gonna look like in the end, but stay till the end because you'll have to see. This is very uncommon for when you're changing fixtures. So I don't want this to deter you, but it does happen. So we pivot and we problem solve. Luckily, we can just divert away from that area for a while and let's spend time today fixing up this vanity area. I went ahead and painted the under sink cabinet, and I actually borrowed this color from Kelsey, so bonus points if you can tell me where you recognize this paint color from. But before going in with the paint, I first sanded the cabinet to get it ready for our primer layer, and then went in with the green. I think the green looks really good. Definitely a much needed pop of color. I already took down the pre-existing mirror and just patched the holes behind it. Now I just gotta sand those and give that area a fresh coat of paint. If you are curious about which wall color I have in my bathroom, as well as my whole house, it is called Cloud White by Benjamin Moore. Okay, remember how I wasn't sure what I was gonna do about this off-centered light situation? I think I have a solution, and I will show you in a second. But first, let's take this thing down and see what we're working with. Great, I just put my hand in the paint. Classic. Nice. Okay, so my plan for this light is to take this fixture that I bought off of Facebook Marketplace. It was $15. Typically, you don't actually hang pendant lights in bathrooms, but this specific one is actually safe for damp/wet areas. So just make sure if you are doing something like this, even though this is very specific to my bathroom, make sure it's safe to be in a wet area. But essentially, put the new plate where this existing plate is, and then I'm going to feed this wire behind our new mirror up the wall and come hang down, and we'll hang it off of a little hook, and it's now going to be this nice little moment. So I picked up this mirror from IKEA, and it actually sits off the wall a little bit. Will it turn on? Let's find out. Yay! Success! Party in the bathroom. Moving on. Okay, so I have this mirror that I picked up from IKEA. Let's get it opened up and take a look. Ooh. So this is the Lind bin. This is in the size 40 by 70 centimeters, and this mirror has this back compartment storage area, which is perfect because I need a lot of storage in here. So the mirror comes with this perfect little mounting plate. Excuse my fingerprints, but this is what I'm going to use to center it above the sink. That's the money. That's the money. That's the money, honey. I really want a hot dog. Real bad. Here I am just adding some plugs to the wall to attach what is called a French cleat that was provided. So if my measuring has served me right, hopefully this mirror covers most, if not all, of this plate. And if it doesn't, and you see it, which you will from the side, it's cute. She's brass, and it is what it is. Look at that. Okay, so from here, you barely really notice it. I am very relieved that this worked out. So I've taken the mirror down just for a sec, but I'm ready to bring in this divider, and I know you guys haven't seen it yet, and I'm so sorry it's so tight in this bathroom, but I'm trying to get a wide enough frame. Oh yeah. That looks so good. So basically I have 2 pilot holes in the top here, and I'm going to attach it to the ceiling as well as add some caulk around the bottom to seal it in its spot, and hopefully that'll be enough. It's a really tight fit, so I'm not really concerned once I get it in there. And you would booper. Okay. Whoa, whoa. We are not doing that again. Okay, so the last thing I'm gonna work on today is the storage cabinet that will go behind the toilet. Now, I found one on Facebook Marketplace for $30, and Online, it did look like it was made of real wood. And then I asked the seller if they could confirm that for me, and they said they weren't sure. But now that I have it, it is very obviously not real wood. So that is a bit of an issue because I was looking to stain it the same color as our divider, but wood stain will not seep into a fake veneer top. So I've come up with a solution that I think is gonna work really well, actually. And I'm gonna show you that now. Okay, so I have my door faces here, and just like we did everything else when we prep, you gotta give it a light sand. So this has already been sanded, and be careful when you're working with veneer because it is thin, so you don't wanna go too deep. So the product I'm going in with is this, and this is a gel stain in the same color Provincial that we used on our divider. And essentially what this does is actually just sits on top of the surface rather than needing to penetrate like a typical stain. So with my fan brush, I'm just using this to apply the gel, and I used a fan brush that is a bit more coarse because I'm kind of like leaning into these brush strokes that you're seeing. Despite the light sanding, the surface of this cabinet is still very slippery, so I actually had to let this dry for about 2 to 3 days before I was able to go in with the same top coat that we used earlier, and I just did 1 coat this time to seal the gel stain in. For the rest of today, I'm just gonna touch up any areas in the bathroom that need some fresh paint, but that's pretty much it. I will see you in a couple of days when hopefully I have new shower fixtures and the tile is intact, and we'll see about that. But I am so excited to put the finishing touches on this space. Once I put that divider in earlier, that was it. I'm sold. I was so sold. Okay, so it's been a few days and I have lots of updates. To make a long story short, the tile in the shower has been restored, okay? It is looking so much better. Still a bit of a collage vibe, but luckily we were able to find one type of the matching tiles, so it is much better than what it was. And damn, do these new fixtures make such a difference. As you probably can already tell, I've hung the above storage cabinet up onto the wall. Now I've made a last minute decision to add these oversized handles that I found at IKEA to the center of these doors. So that means I'm going to have to fill in where the old knobs were. To fill in the space, I went in using a 1/4 inch dowel and re-drilled the holes to also be a 1/4 inch. And then I just hammered in a small piece of the dowel, touched it up using the gel stain. And I mean, it's not perfect, but I've never actually filled in an old hole and had it look seamless, so I really did try my best. And luckily the handles are such a statement piece, hopefully they're just gonna distract from this. Wow, those look really nice. Okay. Speaking of hardware, I also added these new brass handles under the sink that I think look very nice with the green. I also went ahead and painted some of the pre-existing hardware, like these hooks that were on the back wall, as well as the shower bar. Now originally I wanted to actually remove the shower bar completely, but just like how I'm not too fond of filling the dowel holes, I wasn't too fond of the tile repair kits. I just didn't find them very seamless. I spoke with Kelsey, who maybe if you remember had previously painted the shower plate drain in her bathtub. All you need to do is give the pieces a light sand and make sure you don't breathe in the dust from the metal. Then just hit them with a metal primer spray paint before going in with a metal paint. Now I'm just gonna put it back up. I'm fine. So is the bar. Are you fine? What was I doing again? I definitely still need to put a bead of caulking just around the outer rim here, but this looks so much better. It was such an eyesore before, and I honestly still need it because as you just saw, I literally just slipped in this tub, so. Okay, every time I put the camera in the tub, I realize how echoey it is in there, and I apologize for that, but I'm hiding this little shelf that I added. To make the shelf, I took another 1x2 piece of pine and using my pocket hole jig, added some pocket holes to the underside. So later I can install this into the wall with some more plugs. I also had used the jigsaw to cut out this very specific shape where the door frame juts out, but I just stained and sealed this the same way we did the divider. Once the shelf was installed, I actually put some wall spackle in a little baggie and sealed that edge where the shelf meets the wall. This caulking technique has actually come in handy a couple more times, but look at that, nice and clean. Okay, one of my last updates is how I'm gonna finish off this pendant light. So I found these two wooden plates at Indigo, and maybe you saw the video where I DIY'd a light inspired by the PH5 pendant light by Louis Poulsen. But essentially I used a hole saw to drill in the center of these plates. And these were elevated on some scrap wood, so the drill bit had something to catch onto. But I just fit these around the original fixtures screw cap and stacked them together to create a light shade. I also used some cord covers to help with the cable management on the wall/ceiling. These are also super easy to cut with a little hacksaw or utility knife. And as I mentioned before, put a little hook in the ceiling and a baby little plug so the light can hang over the sink. Good. Come on. Look at this business. Okay, I am so close to being finished. I'm really happy with how things are going, but I need to tell you guys about one more thing. So there actually was another one of these here, and I may have removed it, and I'll tell you why. So this IKEA mirror actually comes with these little hooks that hang at the back, and then things will drape down, and I really wanted to be able to utilize that. And I know I said this was a no demo makeover, but it was impulsive, okay? It was an impulsive decision, and I'm sorry, but I don't regret it at all. So anyway, moving on. Now it's time for final touches. Overall, I am very happy with this bathroom makeover. The divider totally distracts from the shower area, and that combined with the new light and the mirror, the fixtures, as well as raising the shower curtain, creates such a beautiful focal point and actually made my average ceilings feel so much taller in here. All the DIY projects were really easy to achieve and make this space feel so inviting. I'm actually really looking forward to spending time in here again. I am also curious to know what you guys think of this makeover, so let me know what you would have done in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. I want to say thank you so much for watching. And if you'd like to see more bathroom makeovers, we got you covered. You could check out Becky's house. You could check out Kelsey's house. I recommend you check out both houses, but that's up to you. Anyway, we'll see you next time. I'm gonna pop some tags. Only got $0 in my pocket.
A really cool paint feature I could do in the bathroom to really bring it to life.
Have you ever seen anything more level in your life?